我是祖传神啊，血脉又相连，山歌唱起吧，游子一去
I'm a textile artist. This quilt that I've made represents my grandmother's journey from her homeland in Sabah to Malaysia. This is an image of my grandmother that I have photo transferred onto textile as the centerpiece for the quilt. I have then surround the whole image with fabrics from her wardrobe. Then I shaped it into a diamond to represent the fact that she's such a rough diamond. Followed by it, I have surrounded the diamond with plain background fabric to represent her life that is so ordinary because she cared for people and not for herself. The red border represents a bloodline because she comes from a family of 11 that has spread across the 4 corners of the world. This final border here is to represent her fractured skills and things that she's learned in life. And the final purple border is the seas that she has to travel from one country to another. My grandma was my carer and the one who looks after me because she was a very young widow, and so she came to live with us, and I was around about 7 when she came to live with us. But in between, she also was my buddy, my best mate. This is similar to the cradle that I was bounced in by my grandmother when I was young. It is a piece of sarong supported by a piece of wood on a string, and she literally bounced me up and down that way to rock me to sleep. And the reason for me using this voile fabric chiffon is because her clothes are made out of the same material. And this is a fancy one with the embroidery, and this is what she would wear for special occasion. The image that I've got here is a very sort of unclear, unfocused image. It's just that my memory of her is not clear anymore at this stage in my life.
My name is Nicholas Chin. I'm Chinese Malaysian, and the mediums that I use are mainly acrylic, and for these small sculptures I use air drying clay, and for the colors I use acrylic. In this photo, this is my late grandmother on the paternal side, so she got the honors of raising me up as my parents went to work. Being very blessed to be raised up by her. My grandmother introduced me to the Malaysian Chinese culture, how she cooked food, and how she was independent in doing her own clothing, and also in everyday life in going to the market and even bringing the household up as well. The Malaysian culture and the mainland Chinese culture is very different. It has different dialects and also languages that incorporate the Malay and Indian culture in Malaysia as well. This painting here, there are 2 subjects. One's my grandmother, and this is myself as a young child. This picture here, me trying to feed something to my grandmother, and this shows how loving she is in letting her grandchild bring something in her mouth. This shows compassion and lovingness of her grandmother. This art piece here is a moon cake, which is only being eaten only once a year during the moon festival. It's normally eaten as a family, not by yourself, so this has a lot of importance for me in showing how much I care for a family and also in valuing tradition.
I'm Ying Hong Li, and also some people like to call me Sophia if easier for them. And then I'm a ceramic sculptor and painter. Yeah, the painting behind me is during the happy moment with my grandma. In my memory, my grandma is a kind, peaceful, elegant lady. She liked to do the quilting and then donate the clothes or the quilt to the poor people. This is the bamboo, and then my grandma loved this kind of bamboo. It's always there. The sculptures here is talking about my grandma and me. We go outside in the small village sometime, and then all the decoration of the sculpture. This red flower, it is the flower my grandma picked for me every day when we go out from the village. We can see this flower everywhere in this village. And this pattern is from the quilting my grandma always make. The most important thing I learned from my grandma is in Mandarin called 心善则美. So it means like people, it's not the outline looking is not that important things. Like if inside you are kind and peaceful and full of love, then you are beautiful.
血脉又相连，山歌唱起吧游子一曲。
我是小玉白，我的奶奶和姥姥呢，我都没见过，因为在我出生前他们就不在了。我的那个主题呢，就是道和 grandmother， 就是道呢，因为道就是万物呢都来自于道，道呢就像万物的 grandmother 呀。道当成 grandmother 呢，因为就是当我就不舒服的时候呀，我就静下心来，然后想道，想宇宙深空这个道。中国画呢，一般就用水墨来表达那个道，然后我这个呢，就是用那个西方的那个油画，用那个 blurring technique 来表达道，因为道呢也是 blur 的。这一组呢，我画的就是银河系外太空，这个呢就相当于银河系。银河系呢，就是那个地方那个道呢，就是特别的纯净，那个就纯净无杂，感觉我用这个黑的呢，就是表示很安静、宁静这种感觉。
I'm Tammy Wong Hulbert, and I'm a visual artist. I have always worked in sort of a sculptural sort of installation way. My original training was in ceramics, but it's expanded out to a lot of other practices. The work that I've produced for the Chinese Museum actually evolved from looking at the relationship between myself and an absent grandmother that I actually never met and was never able to migrate to Australia. And as a result, my grandfather moved on and remarried to an Australian-born Chinese woman. Because I've been really interested in this idea around ancestral worship, and that is a practice that is still continuing in Chinese culture, I was really interested in this idea of caring for my ancestors, and I did identify with my grandmother's story as being quite a sad story because she never actually was able to be part of the family because of the conditions here. And as a result, the work that I produced is about feeding and caring for an ancestor that I didn't ever get to know. Just when I was working with ceramics again at one point, and I started making dumplings out of ceramics because it's really very much my comfort food, and it's something I like to eat when I don't know what to eat. So I really wanted to share that with my grandmother, actually. The work that I've produced, I've titled Two Wongs Making a White, which references the very famous quote, "Two Wongs don't make a white," which actually reflected a very racist attitude we have towards Chinese communities in the 20th century.
血脉永相连，山歌唱起吧游子。
My name is EMILIA Johari and I'm a mixed media artist, and for this particular exhibition I'm doing something different by collecting objects that reminds me of my grandmother. Some things I remember about my grandmother is her scent and the food she cooks, and how fearful we are of her because she's quite a fierce woman. And she also runs her small little businesses and disappears across the causeway to Malaysia, and we have no idea where she went to, and I think that sort of inspired the travel bug in me. What we have here is the beautiful traditional metal belt that my grandmother used to wear to hold her sarong batik together. We also have this medicated oil. It reminds me of my grandmother. And then we have this foundation powder, like a cake powder, that they used to use on their face. 4771. It's a German cologne that my grandmother used to wear as well. When I was doing the research on the Chinese burial grounds, I realized that the shape of the tombstones were very similar to a shape of a dresser. And with the found objects that reminds me of my grandmother, I could put it together with the dresser, and it will be a form of an altar and also as a form of a final goodbye.
血脉永相连，山歌唱起